Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Prayeshu Abatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 14 of Canto 6, text 29. Ataha nripatim rajan bhavitaikastavatmajah harsha shoka pradastubhyam iti brahmasuto yayau. Let's repeat. Ataha nripatim rajan bhavitaikastavatmajah harsha shoka pradastubhyam iti brahmasuto yayau. Atha, thereafter, ah, said Nripatim unto the king, Rajan, O King Chitraketu, Bhavita, there will be Eka, one, Tava, your, Atmajaha, son, Harsha, Shoka, jubilation and lamentation. Pradaha, who will give, Tubhyam, unto you, iti, thus, Brahmasutaha, Angiri Rishi, the son of Lord Brahma, Yayau, left. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Thereafter the great sage told the king, O great king, now you will have a son who will be the cause of both jubilation and lamentation. Sage then left without waiting for Chitraketu's response. The word Harsha means jubilation and Shoka means lamentation. The king was overwhelmed with joy when he understood that he would have a son. Because of his great jubilation, he could not actually understand the statement of the sage Angira. He accepted it to mean that there would certainly be jubilation because of the birth of his future son, but that he would be the king's only son, and being very proud of his great wealth and empire would not be very obedient to his father. Thus the king was satisfied, thinking, let there be a son, it does not matter if he is not very obedient. In Bengal, there is a proverb that instead of having no maternal uncle, it is better to have a maternal uncle who is blind. The king accepted this philosophy, thinking that a disobedient son would be better than no son at all. The great sage Chanakya Pandit said, Ko artha putrena jatena yona vidvana dhatika kanena chakshusha kimva chakshuhu pidaiva kevalam. What is the use of a son who is neither a learned scholar nor a devotee? Such a son is like a blind, diseased eye, which causes suffering. Nevertheless, the material world is so polluted that one wants to have a son even though he's useless. This attitude was represented in the history of King Chitraketu. Om Tat Sat. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading the wonderful pastime of King Chitraketu in answer to a question of Parikshit Maharaj after hearing Vritrasura's pastime. He was very amazed at a demon having wonderful transcendental qualities. So he said, how is this possible that an Asura can be a devotee like this in an Asura's body? So in response to that, Shukadeva Goswami, he spoke about the past life of this person called Vritrasura when he was Chitraketu. Chitraketu had 10 million wives. How's that for a change? Obviously, it must be wrong. The Puranas, it's impossible to have even one wife properly and maintain it now we are in Kali Yuga. 10 million, something must be wrong about numbers. Or it must be completely mythology. Isn't it? That's how we look at it. Because we are so puny in our thinking, in our mind, and it's Kali Yuga, and we are such tiny, teeny-weeny individuals. But he did have 10 million wives. And none of them gave him a son. That's the best part of it. He married and married and married to have a son. He never got one. You try a lot and then forget it. You stop trying anymore, right? Most people do that. Chitraketu didn't give up. He didn't give up. Sometimes when material nature has arranged a lesson for you and you don't seem to get it, then Krishna makes another arrangement for you. Chitraketu didn't get it. Yenapa, 10 million wives. Didn't get even son. You should get the message, no? Not supposed to have one. That's all. Take it. No. I must. He didn't give up the desire. Didn't give up the desire. So the Lord arranged that Angira Muni and Narada Muni would meet with Chitraketu. So Chitraketu, he was met with, and obviously his face was very small all the time. None of my projects are getting through because I'm not having a son. Putrahinam griham shunyam. For a grihastha, if he does not have a son, his grihastha life is zero. Putrahinam griham shunyam. Right? Putrartet kriyet bharya putrapinda prayojanam. Why do you accept a wife and get married? Putrartet kriyet bharya. Bharya means wife. For the sake of getting a son, you get married. Sounds real topsy-turvy, eh? People get married for completely different reasons now. This is the Vedic system. Putrartet kriyet bharya. And why do you need a son? Putra pinda prayojanam. When I pass away from this world, somebody should be there to do my last rites. Offer pinda means do my last rites and offer to the forefathers. For that sake, I must have a son. To have a son, I must get married, have a wife. This is the sequence with meaning that a grihastha performs. So, Obviously, Chitraketu was very depressed. And on top of the depression, sometimes he did not get the message properly. This is your karma, Ji. Please accept it. Stick with it. Don't ask for anything more because you will only complicate matters. But Chitraketu did not. So seeing that he is longing so much for a son and he is not able to get the message, they decided, we'll give you the message in a different way. We'll give you a son and give you the message. That is the statement. They decided, okay, here is a person who can't take a lesson this way. They say in Tamil, Nalla maattukku oru shudu. This maadu requires something more than one burning. It requires several of it together in a focused, concentrated way. So they arranged, okay, you'll have a son, but Harsha Shoka Pradastubhyam. He will be the cause of both great joy and jubilation. Now, everything in this world is interpretation, how you interpret it. So, Prabhupada explaining how probably Chitraketu interpreted it. Jubilation, obviously, after 10 million wives, if I get a son, it will be jubilation. And Shoka must be because the guy will be disobedient. Invariably, sons are disobedient. That's okay. That's okay. I'll manage that. I'll tolerate it. To be disobedient, I will tolerate it. So he thought this is how it will be. But mostly it's not the way we think it is. We never know that there are ways and means and so many possibilities of how something can happen. We will never even imagine it. We would never have imagined it, that things can be happening in a particular way. However, Chitraketu went ahead. He accepted the boon. His wife became pregnant. His eldest wife, Kritadyuti, became pregnant. And then she bore a beautiful son. He was jubilant like nothing. He gave huge amount of charity. It's mentioned he gave charity like rainfall, gold, diamonds, and cows, and properties, and gave everything to everybody. He was so happy. This is jubilation. He enjoyed it. He enjoyed all of it. And then comes the next one, Shoka. You see, when you are happy, there's always somebody unhappy about the fact that you're happy. You know, the world is like that. Everybody can join you in your happiness. There are always some people, hey, why are you morose? Everybody is happy. Some people are always like that. Manthara was unhappy in the whole of Ayodhya. She alone was unhappy that Ramachandra is getting coronated. Everybody else is jubilant and dancing, including Kaikai is so happy. But she was unhappy. She changed the course of Rama's life. One person in the whole of Ayodhya. But in the palace, it was not one person, it was 10 million wives who were unhappy. Why? The king is not looking at me anymore. The king thinks, useless queens who never gave me a son. Get lost. I'm not paying attention to you anymore. And he paid attention to Kritadyuti. You gave me son. So in this way, his attention moved. And they were without attention. When somebody is neglected without attention and you have a relationship, then it's very dangerous. They will do anything and everything to get your attention. Whatever it takes to get your attention. I must have your attention. Why? Because I live by your attention. I feel meaningful and purposeful. You are my husband. If you don't look at me, if you don't relate with me, if you don't talk to me, if you become hostile and belligerent towards me, what will I do? I'll do something that will make you force your attention on me. I'll fall sick. I'll try to commit suicide. And then you'll take me to the hospital and put me there, and then you'll naturally go, oh, I never knew it was so bad. Oh, this and all that. Oh, I'm getting the attention I need. Kids are also like that. If you don't give them attention, they will do something to get the attention. They'll scream, they'll yell, they'll just, fall sick. Psychosomatic illness. Because of your situation in your subtle body. Soma means body. Psychosomatic, a illness that is induced in the body due to the condition of the mind. You could become sick because of you becoming very depressed or feeling dejected or somebody not giving you attention or insulting you, etc., etc. Can happen to you. Psychosomatic illness can affect you. So, attention seeking. So, sometimes leaders have to give attention to many people simultaneously. The Raja, the king Chitraketu, was giving attention to the whole public and giving them charity and everything, but to his wives he didn't give attention. That was disastrous. They got together and poisoned the child. They said they concluded that it's because of this child that we have lost attention from the king. Everybody's got their own logic according to what is important for them. People don't think, it's very difficult to think expansively what is good for everybody. It is very austere to think about everybody else and not think about yourself. That is the meaning of a king. A king has to think about everybody else. He cannot afford to be like that. So he was now completely absorbed in his son. And that's it. They killed the son. They killed the small child. Amazing things happened to Chitraketu. The thing is, Chitraketu has such a completely checkered life with many, many things happening. That's why he was such a wonderful devotee. Because in all these things, he learned many, many lessons. That's why the life is described. He was like this. He was a king, nice guy. Just one small thing, didn't have a son. And that created problems. His 10 million wives went against him in Kulab, Zindabad, in the palace. What will happen? Right? And then they go to the extent of killing the son. And he earlier was so depressed not having a son. Then he gets the blessings of great sages because of his wonderful nature. And now he has to go through this great happiness, and now suddenly he goes through great sadness. Change, harsha, shoka, this rapid change and reversal is very difficult to take. It's not so easy to take these things, especially if we are invested in something. When we are invested, when we have invested our emotions, our affection, our love, and paid attention, spend our money, our time, everything. This way there's investment. And if that investment, which is the most important investment for us as human beings, if that threatens you or that ceases to exist, then you can completely be devastated because you put all your investment. One thing is to put money in some investment and grow it and get profits. The other thing is to be emotionally invested. That's actually even deeper. It's very heavy investment. When you are deeply invested, you're willing to do anything to keep the investment going in relationships. You don't want it to break. And so you're willing to do anything. This is how adjustments are done. Nowadays, you see that people don't invest emotionally or through affection and love and everything. Unless they get a sense gratificatory return, what will I get by my investment in this? Chitraketu was invested deeply and he had a great gratification coming out of it because my son, he's going to be the king. Investments are deep. So this is what Bhagavatam is speaking about. It's all about relationship, investment, position in the material world, what you think is of value in the material world, and how those things are constantly shaken and tested by material nature. You have put yourself in a very vulnerable position by coming to the material world. The spirit soul is constantly harassed in all his investments. Sada samudvigna manaha asadgrahat vanam gato tadharimashayata. We must think about it very deeply. Mostly we are not able to think about it. We don't analyze it deeply. We don't stand back and see what is happening to me. Why are these things happening to me? Why I get disturbed? It's because we are wanting something from that material. So this is a lesson in detachment for Chitraketu. And this lesson comes by the wonderful arrangement made by Narada Muni and Angira Muni. Because they have already decided, oh, you have not yet got the message. You haven't got the message that material life and investment in the material world is always a failure in terms of giving you what you think, in terms of giving you what you think you can get. So, getting to know all these things, you should not read it like a story that's happening outside of you. Actually, it's your story. It's the conditioned soul story told throughout in the Bhagavatam. So we can put ourselves in Chitraketu's shoes and we can also feel it, that how Chitraketu learned a powerful lesson. He was devastated completely when he saw his son is dead. How it is possible that he will die? Because he's invested so much. It's not possible. So can't accept it. Both he and his wife become mad. They roll on the floor, beat their chest. And she's telling the child, come on, wake up. Wake up, get up. She's mad. And Chitraketu is not able to understand, dead. Won't accept, is dead. That is when Narada Muni starts preaching. Miserable situations are the best times to make a soul understand. Misery is indeed the greatest friend of the spirit soul. Material misery is the greatest friend of the spirit soul, because only through material misery do we think deeply about life. When happiness and sense gratification, you become very superficial and thin in your considerations. But material misery really makes you think very deeply. Chitraketu still did not get it. He was lamenting. The chapter is called Chitraketu's Lamentation. He didn't get it. That harsha he enjoyed in the Shoka portion was the right time to instruct him. When he was enjoying life with his child, Angira and Narada Muni never came. Can you tell them to stop a minute? It's very disturbing. Harsha and Shoka are two things. So, lamentation of Chitraketu would not stop. One thing is hankering for having a son, and then having lost the son, lamenting. Both happened to him. Right? Both was happening to him. Now it's lamentation. And he can't accept the reality, can't accept the truth. At that time, Narada Muni and Angari Muni start talking to Chitraketu, how this world is, how this body is not true, how it is temporary, how you are actually invested in the body, not in your son. Not in your son, really speaking. And still he did not understand. And to make the lesson complete, he was given an experience. You know, in teaching, we give you theory and we give you knowledge. This is what is the meaning of it. Still, you won't execute it. The next thing you need is a practical, actual lesson, assignment given to you. Activity, they call it. You should be actively involved in this principle. So what did Narada Muni do? He brought the sun back into the dead body by his mystic potency. And the sun got up. And the sun was very angry. Why did you bring me back here? The son spoke to the father and said, what father, what mother? So many fathers and mothers I've had in my lifetime. Who are you? Which father, mother? So shocking to see the son whom you love so much talk like this to you. One thing is disobedience, but this is more than disobedience. He's just saying, who are you? You're not my father. Who said you're my father? And why did you bring me back here? I have nothing to do with you. I have nothing to do with you. How shocking. So where you put your investment most, let the learning words for you come from that. That's the best lesson. Extreme teaching, this is called. Extreme teaching, extreme lessons. Narada Muni and Angari Muni are top class teachers. They design different learning lessons for different people. With the Haryashavas and the Shavalashavas, his lesson was different. With King Prachinabari, he taught differently. Father is different, for the son is different. According to your time, place, and situation and circumstance. With Daksha also, he tried lesson, it didn't work very well. Daksha was not a proper student at all. And here you see he's teaching, Chitraketu through his son, powerful lessons. And then as soon as the son told him, who are you? I am not your son. Finished. All the bubble broke. Painfully broke. So painful it was. But he became completely renounced, Chitraketu. And he became a wonderful devotee. An amazing devotee he became. Such a great devotee he was that he was given darshan of Sankarshana. Lord Sankarshana personally gave him darshan for his devotion. And he was given a position in the Vidyadhara kingdom. And he was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Right? That is the type of activity that he went through. Chitraketu went through amazing things in his life. And then Parvati cursed him. She made a comment about how Lord Shiva is wonderful, embracing Parvati, da 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 da. Everybody else understood because they were all on the same plane, but Parvati did not understand. She was not willing to, and she cursed him to become an asura. A devotee being cursed to be an asura. What a punishment for a devotee. Go be an asura. And Lord Shiva said that what is the use of cursing devotees? No use, he said. Swarga pavarga narakeshu api tulyartha darshina. And that's what Vritasura showed. Put me in an asura's body also, I'll be devotee. He was a devotee. Right? So, the interesting instruction here for all of us, like Prabhupada says, the attitude of thinking that what is the use of a son? Nevertheless, the material world is so polluted that one wants to have a son even though he is useless. This attitude was represented in the history of King Chitraketu. Prabhupada is saying, In other words, that for a reason, because I want to have success in my grahastha life, something called a son is enough for me. Anything, so that I will not be called a person who, anything goes. Some people should not think that I did not do my job. People should not think that I'm not a proper grahastha. I also want to be like everybody else has a child. Even if the child is like this, that's not. Just give it. I want to be known as a person who has this. All this. Many times we cater to people all around us, and we are sold out to the opinions of people in the outside world. Jagannath Pradev Subhadramai ki. We are sold out to the people of this world. And Chitraketu was not in that sense so cheaply sold out. But then he was very determined that he should be able to do his duty of having a son, putting him on the throne. He was very attached to that success. Sometimes we are very blindly attached to some established activity approved and agreed upon as the measure of success, whereas it is not at all success. But even then we want it. It's okay. People think that is what is successful. Therefore, I want to cater to the perception of everybody. But the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita says, no, it is not like that. You should develop love for Krishna, and that is really successful. But we are not willing to listen. We are sold out to such type of established success principles, which are false. And we'll go out of our way, even if we are devotees, to sometimes do it, especially if we are grahasthas. People should think good about me. But our business is to make sure that Krishna thinks correctly about you. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you. Really doesn't matter. We should do for the sake of pleasing Krishna. That is the guiding principle. What pleases Guru? What pleases Krishna? What pleases Prabhupada? What pleases Vaishnavas? That is my guiding principle in life. Whatever that is, I must do. Rather than what the world, the material world thinks so that they'll accept you in the material world. Living up to the Jonases, they say. That is a waste of time. It's a real waste of time. Much of our life is spent in those type of things. Economy that is established. We have to work in that and get a job and live in a particular way so that we are acceptable in society. And it's so artificial. Even though you know it is artificial, you tend to do it. Then life becomes very frustrating. Although you know what is right, you cannot do it. And although you know something is wrong, you're forced to do it. So we should be careful about what to do and what not to do. How to put our energy into the right area and derive benefit for the soul, for yourself. That is intelligence. That is success. Chitraketu's lamentation all went waste, actually. His lamentation is wasted. His endeavors are wasted. Many things are gone for Chitraketu, but he realized it. He learned a costly lesson. He learned a good lesson, but it costed him quite a bit materially. But it was okay because he learned a lesson. He changed. So many people in the material world, especially devotees, they are put through many different situations and circumstances. We should not fight it. We should actually get to know what is the message here. What am I being told by Krishna through the agency of material nature? For that, you need to be completely interested and devoted. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. This is where Krishna is saying, I will give you the right instruction to analyze and understand why some things are happening to you and what steps to take. This is real intelligence being given to you by Krishna. If you are interested, if you are sincere, if you make an effort. So you can see Chitraketu made a lot of effort in the material world and Krishna swerved him the other way and he derived benefit because finally he surrendered to Krishna. If we do not surrender to Krishna, in spite of all the lessons he tries to give us, life will become a series of frustrating attempts at sense gratification which are never successful. You may even commit suicide but be born again to do the same thing. Very horrible that we don't get the message. What is the message? Loud and clear. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. That is the message, loud and clear. Chitraketu clicked by the help of Narada Muni. Many times spirit souls don't click at all. In spite of all the difficulties, they're willing to go through all of that and keep trying for sense gratification. Keep trying for getting what I think I should get. It lands up in severe lamentation, heavy tamogun. So both harsha and shoka. The interesting thing here is about having a son. You know, everybody's dream to get married is to have an obedient son who will actually carry out the will of the father. Carry out the will of the father. And this way the father is very happy. This is a dream of every grahastha. That's why they introduce their son with great happiness. This is my son. You know, their sparkling eyes. This is my son. He is educated like this. And he listens to me. And he's going to become great. You know, you get invested so much. And you get tightly bound by affection, by expectation, by relationships and everything. Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. But Bhagavatam teaches us how to manage it very intelligently. It's not that you should not be affectionate, because it's impossible to be a parent if you don't invest affection and love. And it is your license to enjoy that also. But really what the Grahastha should do is to balance his affection and love for Krishna against this. You should not get completely lost in this. Balancing, which is more important to me. So you can imagine, this is a very tricky job to do. It's not so easy to do. You have to be endowed with special intelligence and blessing of Krishna that you can balance this. You know, Kunti Devi's prayers where she's saying that it's out of balance for me. You please cut my affection for Pandavas. Dridam Pandushu Vrishnishu. Cut off my affection for the Pandavas. I'm not able to balance it. I want my affection to only flow for you. Gange Vaukam Utanvati. Just like the Ganges gushes and flows to the sea. I want it to flow only for you. So she expresses to Krishna that I'm not able to balance it. Being a woman, she says, how can I? But you will see that great personalities balanced very well. While they're living and available, they shower their affection, love, give their time, energy, everything. When the right time comes, they cut it off and they move off. Yudhishthira Maharaj just moved away at the right time. Bhima, Arjuna, everybody moved away from their family, from their wife, from their children, everything. Boom. This is able to manage your affection, manage your investment and emotion. It's not at all easy to do. It requires good amount of understanding of life, who you are, what you're supposed to do, how to do, and how not to do. Managing these things is a real internal strength. If you have not studied properly yourself and how you are investing in the world and how you manage it, people manage investments, in this real estate, that money, this deposit, that shares, these bonds, gold, that, this, and all that. There are people who will manage your investments for you in the external world. Similarly, there's a big world inside, and we are investing. We're investing in people, in relations, in your kith and kin, and you have to know how to do it. You have to know how to manage it. Because the ultimate purpose of all these investments is to achieve love of Krishna, is to be able to invest successfully in Krishna. Love of Krishna should be there, your final achievement. If all these investments are meant for you to achieve that investment, these are all dependent investments in the material world. But that, for Krishna, is an independent, standalone investment that you make. That should never get affected by all these investments. Narada Muni could see that Chitraketu is out of balance. He's completely lost in the sun type stuff. He turned it around completely, turned the investment totally. At the end of it, Chitraketu was willing to forget and became invested fully in Krishna. Such a person became Vritrasura. That's why he managed again very well. In fact, he was telling Indra, you're not able to manage it. I can see it. You're not able to manage. You made a mess of it. So in real life, this is the challenge. We have an internal world, an inner world that we need to look into very carefully, deliberate on it, think about it, and manage it very carefully. Chitraketu learned to do that. That is his success. We all should become expert at doing that. A devotee, he knows how to do it. He knows how to do it. According to Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita, he knows Krishna demands your attention fully. And if you don't give it, you'll remain here only, invested in other things. So your full attention towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is called Krishna consciousness. That is pure devotional service. How will I do that? How will I do that? That's a big question in life. That's why we accept Guru. He teaches us how to do it. And those lessons are mostly painful lessons. If you're not willing to go through pain, you'll have no gain. You'll have no spiritual gain. Pain means the pain of separating yourself from sense gratification. The pain of detachment. The pain of detachment. It's a subtle body pain. To let go. Not so easy. So human being is meant to go through it. That's the purpose of human life. And to hold on to Krishna's lotus feet. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam hare. That decision to do it. That's what comes out here best. So Shoka Moha, Harsha and Shoka are part of this learning. When you go through this learning, you'll have to go through this Harsha and Shoka. You should be prepared for it. You should not say, why is Krishna putting me through this? I am his devotee. In fact, the answer is, that is why he's putting you through this. You did not know? The answer is, that is why you're going through this. It will increase your love for Krishna. What, you guys are some sadistic People who just want to torment everybody with pain and this thing. No. Detachment comes from experience of this sort. It's not enough if we learn all the shlokas about detachment from the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam and recite it very well and give a wonderful class. When it goes to experience, how do you apply it? You're forced to apply detachment. That's when it is painful. Don't think it was not painful for Kunti. Don't think it's not painful for the Pandavas. It was. It was. But they had value for Krishna. They had invested in Krishna and love of Krishna. Because of that, they could bear the pain. They could bear that pain. Temporary pain, temporary passing phase, they go through. Because they are fixed in the permanent. When you're fixed in the permanent, temporary things you can bear easily. If you're not fixed in the absolute truth, then these temporary things can shake you upside down, can completely turn your life the other way around. That's why sometimes people get hatred and, they become atheistic and they become lost. What is the use? I don't believe in God. He did not give me this. He did not give me that. He did not relieve me from this. Those are all statements made without proper understanding and knowledge. So a devotee should be prepared to go through harsha, shoka for the higher benefit of becoming neutral to all these things and developing love of Krishna. That is what is in stake for you. So these are beautiful statements made by Prabhupada here. He is saying, better not have a son than have a son who is not a devotee or a scholar. Koartha putrena jhatena yona vidvan na dharmika. You're not a learned person, not is he a devotee. What is the use of having somebody who is not a devotee, who is not a learned person? Learned, at least he will become a devotee. In other words, he should be very educated and he should be a devotee. All grahasthas would like to have a devotee child, educated properly, with good understanding. So Prabhupada has done a great service to humanity by allowing grahasthas to actually cultivate their children in the atmosphere of Krishna consciousness and have children who are educated and devotee, properly educated and who are devotees. It's a great wealth to have educated devotee. So those are few reflections. Any question or comment? Seeking? Seeking what? Or why are they not recognize the contribution that they are not would have not been known to us? Say, for example, somebody done a lot of help for themselves. So it would have just people rejecting or not be used for what they say. But what they are doing is correct. It's because we are not super soul in everybody's heart. That's why we don't know. How else can we know? If somebody is doing something somewhere, I have to know it. I don't know. Only a super soul can know what you're asking. We don't know from one side. From the other side, why do we seek attention? That is natural, no? We're dependent living entities. We are not God. Abhijna Swarat, independent and cognizant on his own. derives pleasure on his own. We are not like that, especially as conditioned souls. So, since we have dependent existence, we want ourselves to be associated, recognized, validated by a person who provides us that facility. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam eko bahunam yo vedadati kaman. That one person who gives everybody what they need. So he is that person. So you can't on your own be without claiming or asking for the attention to validate yourself. That's natural in all the living entities who are dependent on Krishna. But where do you ask of it? In your conditioned state, that same desire is reflected in terms of getting recognition materially from people around you in this world. Name, fame, recognition, and all that. So it's very natural. So sometimes, many times, we also recognize people for their devotional services because they are sadhakas and they get inspired to perform their devotional service if you recognize them. So they get recognized for that and they're enthused and happy and they perform. But slowly they develop a situation and a maturity wherein they're not dependent or recognition. They simply do because that is correct and because it is meant for the Supreme Lord. And in spite of some people not recognizing them, or in spite of some people opposing them, they will continue to do the service because they know it's the truth. They know that's the truth. So it's not that, such people will not want any praise or encouragement at all. But they take it as a recognition of the fact that Prabhupada was happy when somebody recognized that what he is doing is good for human society. He said, thank you very much for recognizing that. It's good. I am not being so artificially renounced and aloof. He showed that I am a practical, down-to-earth person. If you praise me for what I'm doing, good, thank you, I want it. At least you have recognized it, that it is useful to human society. And Prabhupada felt encouraged. He expressed it in the letters. I'm very encouraged by hearing your words, that these books are going out like that, and this is happening. I'm happy to hear that. So even pure devotees of the Lord, you can't say they seek attention. That is, if you don't give them attention, they'll stop doing what they're doing. No. But if you do give the necessary attention, recognition, they say thank you for recognizing that. So everybody needs it. But we should not become a society of people who are doing that all the time. Simply overly recognizing everybody and, making them all totally dependent on you. Some people do that. That's one form of control, is to give people profuse recognition and profuse praise. And this way, they become always waiting for it. And you do it, I'll give it to you. It's a reward against, if you do what I want you to do, I'll give you a word of praise. And you feel validated and recognized. Very good. And so my tongue is hanging like that of a dog. Always, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. And then you throw it, thank you very much. That'll become, very artificial. Without eating out the individuality of people, we should learn to make them independently oriented, but at the same time, balance it properly. I hope that's useful. There's some question here. Supriya, Hare Krishna, how does Lord Indra manage to get the blessings of Sri Krishna, even though he's always jealous, negative person? That's the meaning of mercy. Because Indra is A dedicated devotee is fully understanding, very intelligent person, but his situation is difficult because it's not so easy for him to become purely oriented in Krishna consciousness like that. So these things work on him. If it works on Indra like that, definitely it will work on all of us also. Don't think that we are free from. Therefore, we must always be humble, careful, and try to follow the instructions of Krishna. Kathakelu Dikshit, how to control anger. How to control anger? Should find out why anger is coming first. What is the root? Bhagavad Gita tells us unsatisfied desires create anger. Rajoguna samudbhava, that's also mentioned, coming from Rajoguna. So put yourself in a more sattvic atmosphere, put yourself with devotees who are of that type, and also have good association of people who are not unnecessarily angry. And try to understand where this anger is coming. What is a desire that has not been satisfied? Due to which reason I'm getting this anger? Put your finger on it and see why it is like that. When you trace back an emotion and see where it is coming from, a lot of it gets solved. If you can do that along with a nice counselor, it'll be good. You mentioned about the pain of detachment in practicing the lessons of Guru. Can you please explain the joy in practicing bhakti? Susukam kartum abhyayam. It is joyfully performed. Yes, Gandharvika Radha. Yeah, interesting parallel. There is also joy. Definitely there is. Krishna is explaining that in Bhagavad Gita, as you have quoted. What the soul really needs, it does not understand in the material atmosphere. You're always mistaking Sat for Asat or thinking Asat is Sat. Na sato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate satah ubhayorapi drishto antastu anayos tattvadarshibhi. Tattvadarshi was able to see Sat and Asat properly. What the soul needs is Krishna, but he doesn't know it. He wants matter and material gratification, but what he needs is Krishna consciousness. So joy comes when you actually perform what you need. Temporary, foolish, so-called happiness can be got when you cater to your instant gratification and wants. They are just short-term. As soon as it is over, you are again back to square one. So bhakti is such that it is a permanent asset and it is not something temporary. So genuine joy comes for the soul when he gets the genuine occupation by which he can be enlivened spiritually. That's when joy comes. Joy, bliss, is because of connection with the Supreme. The soul connects with the supremely blissful personality of Godhead. He feels joyful from deep inside, not on the plane of the body, not on the plane of the mind or the intellect alone, but from deep inside, a spiritual joy. That is really happiness. And that can be tasted by the devotee. Somewhere he knows. That's why people love to take part in kirtan with so many people together. There is a bliss in that. You cannot describe it materially. Instantly people get attracted to it. Instantly they get involved and then they do. So that is the joy of performing bhakti. If you carefully watch and if you carefully lend yourself to that experience, you will see it's true. And the more you do it, the more you become addicted to it. And the more you expand it inside you, and the more you awaken. So most devotees have an experience of it, at least a little bit of it. And they know it exists that way. Yes, so one thing is that temporary pain of detachment, which is easy to go through actually because it's not permanent. But pitted against that is the permanent joy of executing devotional service to Krishna. Whether you want temporary pain, whether you want temporary joy that is again and again disturbed constantly, or you want permanent joy, this is what we need to decide. This is the meaning of asat and sat. Choice between asat and sat. Somehow we are addicted to the asat. From time immemorial we have been here. So we make those type of choices and we develop that type of philosophy and conviction. But Krishna consciousness is meant to change that gradually to help you to get permanent blissful state. I hope that helps. Om Tat Sat. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki